All right, today we're going to do something a little more fun, a little more kind of off topic. And again, I don't want anybody to take this too serious. I don't want anybody I mean, it has a lot of good information in it, but I don't want you to think that this is something that is, set in stone. It's 100%. This is my tier list. Okay, you can use all the good information from this that you want. You can discard it. You can just watch it and laugh or whatever you want to do. You can even make up your own list and try to figure out what is the best for you, which I recommend that you do. But this particular list is my list ranking the best inflatables for your rental business or your party rental business. Now, again, these are specific for a lot of different reasons. One, geographic area, the temperature, the weather, the customer makeup, the types of yards. There's a lot of things that goes into picking which inflatable that you're getting and which inflatable that you're using, which inflatable is best for you and for your business. And this runs into those kind of situations where you're not going to be able to nail this down to make it fit everybody. But again, it has a ton of good information in it. So I recommend that you watch it and participate and tell me what your picks are, after we're done down in the comments. So we're going to start with the obstacle course. Now, I have some ratings here, top picks, and a top pick would be something that is 100% across the board. You're doing more than 40 rentals a year with it. You're doing amazing return on investment. Every customer that you can think of wants it. It's just a really good unit. Also, it's a unit that lasts a long time. It doesn't suffer from a lot of wear and tear. It doesn't, all the things that go into making a good unit a good unit. So top tier would obviously be something that captures all that. The next tier would be gyms, and those are things that are good, but they have one or two little flaws, and it may be something like they can only use during so many seasons, or things like that. The price point is off. Something is wrong with it that it kind of keeps it out of that top tier location. The third is standard. Now, standard is 20 rentals a year. You're getting your money's worth. It's not too difficult. It's not good, and it's not bad. It's right in the middle. These are kind of your Goldilocks inflatables. There's nothing wrong with them. Again, it's just, and you need these as fillers for most of your inventory. But again, they're not your top tier stuff. They're kind of middle of the road. The next category is pass. And when I say pass, it means that knowing what I know, I'd probably not pick this one as the best unit that I would have, simply because there's other things that could be used, or it's not necessarily the top renter, or it's something that can't go out by itself, or there's just different reasons. Again, it's not something that you may or may not never want to have, but it is something that you don't list as this is the number one thing that I want to put out there because it does so phenomenal. So again, tons of stuff that you could pick before this, and you may have this in your inventory, but it's not the standard of where you want to be. And the last is avoid at all cost. These are the ones that and again, I know nobody's going to avoid everything at all cost. And some things work in some areas and don't work in some areas. So you may get it, and then you'll think, I don't know what he's talking about because it's doing great where I'm at. But in my particular area, my stuff, it's just something that, just doesn't hit the way that it needs to. And you're not getting the money out of it. So that's how we're going to explain it. And I have some pretty simple categories as far as, and I know a lot of these we're going to have to kind of pick and choose and kind of, pick them apart and go through them because, what is a slide is a slide is a slide. There is probably 15 different types of slides, whether it be size or whether it be wet or dry or whether it be, anything. There's a lot that goes into that. So we're going to kind of go through all that stuff too. We're We're going to start with obstacle courses. Now, your obstacle courses are kind of your standard school and event piece. It has some very good pluses to it. It's usually easy to move and it gives a good structure. I mean, these normally they can get pretty long and they can be centerpieces for your events. So they work really well as good pieces in that way. They're not very expensive. You can start small and kind of add to them the whole 9 yards. So an obstacle course fits really well. What the problem that we have with obstacle courses, one, they don't like the warm weather. And I know there's a wet, dry obstacle course out there, but that has its own set of problems. Usually when an obstacle course is wet, dry, you're having kids get on and get off and go around the unit and bring more dirt and trash and grass and stuff into the unit, and it can really be a mess. I don't like the wet obstacle courses. I've had some in the past. I've got two now. They're not my favorite simply because they're just so hard to keep clean, which means there's a lot of maintenance on it. So hot weather is bad for the dry ones, and hot weather is bad for the wet, dry ones because they're hard to clean. But again, they are staple units for going into schools and things like that. In my particular area and the amount of customers that I do a lot of schools, a lot of colleges, a lot of churches, and so the obstacle course is absolutely a gem, not a top pick, but a gem for my area. I would definitely look at an obstacle course if you have similar customers. If you're just starting out and you're just doing backyard stuff, obstacles probably not the best way to go for you, but for me it fits very, very well. All right, the next one is combos. A combo is anything that has a slide attached to a bounce house, and it can have double slides, and it can have wet dry slides, and it can have slides on two sides, and it can have just a myriad of other things, obstacles inside and basketball shoots inside and games. I've seen them with movie screens attached to the side. There's just tons of stuff that goes along with it. The combo unit offers a really, really kind of advantage over the bounce house in that it gives a lot more. It can be used wet or dry. It can be kind of added to. It's something that moves very well. So if you are doing larger events, the kids are getting off of the unit, which allows you to kind of cycle them through a little better than a bounce house. So the combo is in an area where it is doing really well. The problem with combos, I think, is that bang for the buck. Well, I can't really say. It kind of sits mid on bang for the buck. I mean, you're spending a lot more than you would for a bounce house, but you're only making a bit more than you would for a bounce house. They're really good because they fit in a small backyard. So that's kind of an added bonus for me because, some of the customers don't have a big area that they could put a big obstacle or slide or something in. So I'm going to place it in the gyms because, once again, it's a good piece, but the limitation on it is the amount of money that I think that you can make off of them. It kind of pales in comparison to some of the other stuff that's out there that can really, kind of shoot it up in the sky. And again, this is my list. Your list may be different. I know some folks who live in really dense populated areas where all you have is small, and that's all you do is combos, and combos are top of the list. I get it. I understand 100%. But it's not how it is for us. Slides, again, slides come in a myriad of different shapes and sizes and colors and types and the whole 9 yards. You can have water slides, you can have dry slides, you can have slip and slides, you can have dual lane slides, you can have single lane slides, you can have just tons of different slides. For us, we're in a temperate climate where we have probably 6-7 months of really good wet. I mean, we've been doing water slides now. It is May. We've been doing it since probably mid-April, and we're going to go until almost October. So, I mean, you've got a good 6-7 months of really getting the slides out there. Slides again are kind of they're really kind of can fit all sizes, because you can have little slides that will go for a lot of toddlers and things like that, and you can have the bigger ones that up to adults, and have adult parties or college parties or whatever. So they really do well. The return on investment is absolutely through the roof. You can use a lot of them wet dry, so they do span even beyond that 7 months and go into 9, 10, 11 months depending on the weather. So yes, slide to me is a top pick, because I am making the absolute most amount of money, and every single event that I do has a slide involved in it, and usually it's a centerpiece slide, which means it's a big giant thing that draws attention, the whole 9 yards. So there you have it. Now we're going to do bounce houses. Bounce houses are the little redheaded stepchild of the combo units. They don't have a lot of the extra bonuses that you get from a combo unit. They can't be wet. They are enclosed, so you can't get a lot of kids in them. So if you're doing simply backyard parties, and you're doing parties with 6 or less kids, or 8 or less kids, or something like that, and usually smaller kids, bounce houses usually fit that niche very, very well. Here's the problem. That's the only niche that it fits. It doesn't work for adults. It doesn't work for teens. It doesn't work for mixed groups. It doesn't move well in large events. The good thing is the price point is usually low on them, but the bad thing is the money that you're making off of them is also low. So you need a bounce house to kind of give you an ability to make the small purchases and stuff like that. But it is a very, very, very small, margin of people that actually just want the bounce house. That being said, I probably rent out 100 bounce houses, 150 bounce houses a year. So I'm going to put pass. It's kind of in between pass and a standard, because they do make, but they don't make the return on investment. So if there was another way that you could do something small in a yard, that's what I do, and I think that's a lot what a combo does. It's just a matter of upselling. So, it is what it is. Our next one is the interactives. Now, this will include anything from like a wrecking ball to a bungee run to this is a leaps and a bounds and those kind of things. These things are usually really, really good as spectator things, and they're used for larger crowds where people are moving through and people are watching. So they have a niche. They are generally not used wet, and they generally are big and bulky, and they generally have a higher price tag. So it's not something that a lot of backyard stuff will do. And even if you do, you don't have the crowds in a backyard to keep people occupied with these. So what they do is they play with it for a little while, then they go inside and they eat cake. And it's not like a water slide where you can go 8 hours on a water slide, but you can't really look at this as something that you're going to use in backyards. It's mainly events, it's mainly churches, it's mainly those kind of events. So you have to be very, very careful with this. Me personally, I use them a lot because, again, that's the standard for me. But I will place it in the standard thing simply because they do what they're supposed to do. They do 20 rentals a year and they make their money back and the whole 9 yards. They're not super crazy on the weight and they're not super light on the weight. Everything about them is kind of mid, but for my type of events, they fit very, very well. If you're doing just backyard stuff, it's probably not going to be what you want. All right, the last one is the games, and this includes everything from basketball shoots to axe throws to anything that's in there. These units are really good as filler pieces. They add to just about everything out there. The problem that I see with these is that there's absolutely very little standalone room for these, meaning nobody's just going to rent one game. And even if they did, the price point on them is so low that it wouldn't be worth you to deliver it. So it's always something that's going to attach. Always it's something's going to attach. Now, that being said, when you need them, you need them. When you don't, you don't. So they're just kind of sitting there until someone needs them. Usually midsummer, where you don't have a lot of things going on unless you have festivals or something like that. There's not a lot to do. So spring and fall is when you use them a lot. Very little in the winter. Sometimes you'll do a Christmas festival or something like that, but it's just not. They're not. To me, they're not the standalone units that are going to make the kind of money that you need. I use mine. Probably more so than not. But here's the kicker about the games. You can replace a game 9 times out of 10 with something straight off the shelf, something straight out of Amazon. They have axe throws that are, inflatable. They have movie screens that are inflatable. They have basketball court shoot things. They have cornhole things. There's tons of ways that you can replace this. So buying an inflatable, especially one that's big and bulky and pricey and stuff like that, really does not make a lot of sense. So I'm going to put it in pass. Not because I would pass on them, because I do use mine, but because I don't feel that they are standalone units, and I don't think that their price point that they are where they need to be. Nothing is avoided at all cost on this list, and everything is avoided at all costs. I have a bounce house that is a themed bounce house, that is an emoji poo bounce house. I would avoid that at all costs, but that's a bounce house. I have some interactive games that, again, are not my favorite, but they go out once or twice a year, and I have certain customers that absolutely have to have these pieces for their events every year, so I hold on to them. But I really don't. I don't like them. I don't want them. I have like a tug of war bungee thing that it goes literally. I keep it because I have customers that want it. I have obstacles that, like I said, the wet dries that I don't recommend for anybody. And I have slides that are just not any dry only slide would be bad. First of all, in my area, but if you had one that also was particularly big or particularly small, or had some kind of crazy theme on it or something like that, all that stuff can kind of put them in the no-go or the avoid at all costs things. So again, all of them you can have bads, but this is the way that I've structured them. This is the list that I've put together for them. This is where we're at, and how I feel about it. How do you guys feel? What do you think is your best unit? What makes you the most money? Tell me. I can tell you right now, my water slides, for the life of their slides, now they only last about 3 or 4 years, but they every single one of them is doing probably $35,000 in revenue for the life of the units, for things that I'm buying for anywhere from $2,000 all the way up to $6,000 or $7,000. So that's kind of where we're at, and those are good units. Again, tell me what you think, and keep watching, and we'll keep putting them out there. Thanks.